And now we have something fun, I believe. It should be fun. I don't know. Danielle, how are we feeling? How are we feeling about this presentation?
I'm feeling great, Nick. I've started
Yeah,
off
you
my
feeling good?
morning
Oh man,
listening
look
to
at this. Look.
I've been listening to my baseball playlist. I went ahead and I got dressed in a very particular order. I've got my rally cap on and ready to do it. I'm all set.
So what is the title of this one again?
So we've got for everyone today the
Yeah.
evolution of cursing, superstitions, and rituals in baseball. I can't wait. You know how much I love swearing, so I
Yeah,
am
no,
really
no,
into
no.
this.
So just to clarify, this is curses, not cursing. This is a
Oh, but
family-friendly show.
oh, I thought you were an exception to me. I'm that mouthy wife, and so I
Yeah,
figured. No,
no.
okay, all right, all
No,
right.
no, no, no,
Um,
no
it's okay. I can
cursing.
change
No
things up.
swearing.
I can work on the fly.
Yeah.
I'm very flexible. We can still
Yeah,
make
is
this
that all
work.
right?
I've
Is that
got
okay?
I've got plenty of stuff. No problem.
All right. Well, I will, I will bring in my rally monkey a little bit to hope for that outcome to happen. But Danielle, thanks so much for being a part of this. And everybody go to pitchwells.com/pitchcon to donate to the cause. 100% of your donation will go straight to the ALS Association. So please consider giving just a little bit if you are enjoying PitchCon. All right, take it away, Danielle.
All right. Thanks so much, Nick, for letting me be a part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and there we go. We've got my screen shared there. Obviously, we're going to need to make a few changes here on this. We'll go ahead and avoid all of those. And we'll just get right into what we're going to be talking about today, which is the evolution of curses, superstitions, and rituals in baseball. This has actually been a really fun subject to go ahead and research for everyone today. I know that we're kind of changing things up a bit, but I will say that I found it interesting that MLB actually tried to take out cursing from baseball, and it once issued a memo that was filled with so many expletives it couldn't be mailed and had to be hand delivered to all 12 teams. We won't go into what that memo said, obviously, but you can go and look for that yourself. But instead, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the real presentation. So I've gone ahead and fixed things for Nick. While I was doing my research, I found that, curses seem to fall into one of three categories, typically, with a few, what I call the rabid fan exceptions. Those rabid fan exceptions include the Red Sox fan who tried to bury a David Ortiz jersey at the new Yankee Stadium. It also includes the fans of the Hanshin Tigers in Japan, who in celebration threw a statue of the Colonel from a local KFC into the river, thus cursing the team for years to come. But today we're going to talk about some of the more well-known curses and the categories they seem to fall into, which are the trade, the move, or the beast, as I like to call them. Of course, with our first, the trade, everyone knows the curse of the Bambino. It's interesting that the curse of the Bambino actually isn't mentioned until years later. I think it didn't start being circulated widely until the 70s and 80s when it was mentioned in articles and mentioned in a book, actually. But before that, people still talked about the idea that the curse of the Bambino started when the Boston Red Sox sold the Bambino's contract to the Yankees in 1920. There are, of course, other trades that occurred. The curse of Rocky Calavito from the Cleveland Guardians when he was sent over to the Detroit Tigers in 1960. So these are examples of a popular player, a star player, leaving a team and going to another one, and the team that got rid of that player just having devastation afterwards, and not seeing a championship for a long time. Now, the second type of curse that I found is what we call the move. So either moving from one location to another, one city to another, or moving from one name to another. One of the examples of this, of course, is the New York Giants, eventually moving over and becoming the San Francisco Giants. This is often known as the curse of Eddie Grant or the curse of Coogan's Bluff, because when the Giants left on the last game of the season in 1957, fans who were outraged that the team was moving from New York to San Francisco, they actually stole a plaque that had been put up in the stadium for Eddie Grant, who was a player for the New York Giants, but had died in World War I in 1918. So once the team moved to San Francisco, very well-known drought for them. I believe it was 52 years. They didn't win again until 2010. And as a matter of fact, the team decided to replicate the plaque for Eddie Grant. And they went ahead and put it up in the San Francisco ballpark. And 2 years after that, the Giants went ahead and won their World Series in 2010. So the third category is the beast category, as I call it. And of course, this is the infamous curse for the Chicago Cubs, the curse of the Billy Goat. The story here is that a local bar owner, William Cianis, he had brought his goat to the game, back at a time when people could still bring their emotional support animals into bars, I guess. The goat, of course, was smelly, and they were asked to leave. And William stated that the team would never win again. And the team went on for a 71-year drought. So that would be the three categories. However, when I was looking at this, it seemed to me a little funny that for a lot of these curses, the actual drought started well before the supposed cause of the curse. Whether it was when Ruth was actually traded, or when the team moved, the times for that are actually a little off, which made me wonder if those were the actual reasons for the curses. So we went ahead and looked into that a little bit more and wondered if perhaps there wasn't a possibility that there were other reasons for these curses. So for the Cleveland Guardians, as a matter of fact, the Cleveland Guardians, after their last championship in 1948, they went ahead and traded off Edward Kleinman and Joe Haynes. And I don't know about anybody else, but Edward Kleinman really gives me some McCormick vibes with the looks like an accountant actually playing. So after the Cleveland Guardians traded away Edward Kleinman and Joey Haynes, they didn't have another, they still haven't had another championship. So perhaps for them, it's not a matter of having traded away Rocky Calvito, but perhaps it's these players, since Rocky Calvito didn't leave to go to the Tigers until 1960. When it comes to the Red Sox and their supposed curse of the Bambino, it could actually be the fact that they went ahead and traded away Duffy Lewis, Ernie Shore, and Dutch Leonard to the Yankees after their 1918 championship. As for the Beast, Well, there is a good chance that the curse for the Chicago Cubs is in fact not because of the billy goat at all, but rather because of another animal, which would have been their mascot. Yeah, take a look at that mascot right there. In 1908, the Chicago Cubs brought in a brand new mascot. I think this is the lesser known Care Bear, Nightmare Bear. We can get a closer look of this guy and see him right there. The bear terrified fans and children so much that the bear was never seen again after 1908. And well, the Chicago Cubs championships were never seen again until 2016. So I think that there's a good possibility that we may have caught the culprit right there. Now, obviously, with all of these curses, it should be taken with a grain of salt. Curses are oftentimes spurned on by the media, and sometimes by fans talking in the bar. It's hard to say though if the teams were unlucky or cursed, or if the teams around them were simply too dominant, and that's why these teams didn't see a championship for so many years. Just as we look at players today, I wonder whether a specific pitcher is degrading a bit in their talent, or if it's simply that the batters around them are getting better. But it did make me wonder about curses today. You don't hear a lot of present day curses. And that could be much like these earlier curses, that there is actually such a significant amount of time between when the drought for a team begins and when an actual cause is found. And so it made me wonder of what curses might be happening today or could be happening in the future. It's hard to say. It could be in our fast-paced society that we just don't take the time to look back 10 years and find a random event that could be impacting our team today. Or it could be that we're just not seeing what's going on, which is why I wanted to take a look at some possible future curses. So it could be for some of these teams that they've got a trade that they've done that has impacted their future ability for a championship, such as the New York Mets. The New York Mets, they last won a World Series in 1986, after which they traded for David Cone in 87, and they haven't won a World Series since. This could be a little bit of a turnaround, that instead of trading away a popular player and getting a curse, this could be trading for a good player and being cursed thereafter. So that might be the latest version of the move for team, or the trade for teams. As for the move, when it comes to the Florida Marlins, who eventually changed their name to the Miami Marlins, they have not won a World Series since doing so, which certainly could be what is impacting things for them. Finally, we have the Beast. I think, as we all know, last year during the postseason, a goose flew down onto the field as the Dodgers were playing. And it is now being said that that goose has started a new curse for the Dodgers. Who knows? I'm hopeful, given that it's the Dodgers, but really, who knows? So it's important for us to pay attention to what's going on now, and try and see if there might be a reason for the downturn of luck for our teams. Perhaps all of this is random. Perhaps there's no curse at all, but this does transition us into, perhaps it's simply a matter that somebody stepped on a foul line, and that's what's bringing the clubs down. So there are a lot of popular superstitions and rituals in baseball. I think that, superstitions and rituals go hand in hand, like peanut butter and chocolate, like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, like Willie Mays and Willie McCovey, uh, Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina, or Clayton Kershaw and choking in the postseason. Um, a superstition, it said, is a belief, and a ritual is basically what comes after that belief. It's the result of that belief. These sorts of things can bring players confidence, maybe spur on a streak. They can bring on better focus and better performance. They can also be entertaining, disgusting, and passed down from generation to generation. Um, there are a lot of rituals, I think we all know, that are passed from Little League to Major League. There are rituals that we all do when we've played, whether that's in softball league or while hanging out with friends. Um, a lot of the superstitions I found kind of, again, much like curses, fall into certain categories. So you have some superstitions that have to do with clothing, whether it is to wear a favorite shirt or to not wash your clothes. I've been known to not wash my Lucky Giants socks if they're doing well. I've also been known to not be allowed to take off my shoes in enclosed spaces. So there's also a matter of John Wetland. He would only wear one cap per season. And so he made the Yankees sew on the World Series emblem on his cap so that he could continue wearing that one cap. There are others that also include not washing equipment, the wearing of rally thongs. Another category of these rituals and superstitions are more food related, eating a specific meal before the game, whether that's a player or a fan. I know for many fans, opening day, they have their ritual of eating hot dogs or eating pizza, making sure that maybe you've got some Cracker Jacks on hand or some peanuts to enjoy while watching a game. So a lot of food related ones. There are some players who only eat a specific meal before each game. There was also Turk Wendell. Turk Wendell had a lot, or has a lot, of rituals that he would do, including eating black licorice each inning and brushing his teeth, which is definitely a lot more hygienic, at least brushing his teeth, than what Moises Alou would do with peeing on his hands in order to make them soft, which is odd because you could have just used lotion for that. But again, everybody has what they feel works for them and is not only important, but integral to their game and to their success in the game. There are also some that are related to actions or habits. Sleeping with a battered glove. That's something that major league players and even, high school baseball players will do. Putting a glove in the same spot in the dugout while you're on a streak. Touching a bag, such as Joe DiMaggio with second base as he ran into the outfield, or touching a plaque or a statue, anything like that before a game. So all of these superstitions and rituals are actually a lot of fun to watch. There are some players who believe that they should abstain before a game. This is why, for me, I don't tell my husband I have a headache. I just tell him I have a big game tomorrow. Some of these superstitions, we've got Turk Wendell, as I mentioned. He has a lot of different rituals that he would do. So one, of course, that many know is not stepping on the line. Don't step on the foul line. It's hard to say where this superstition or ritual came from. Some believe that it is simply because they didn't want to ruin the hard work that had been done placing those lines on the field. Some simply don't know why or how they do it. I found it interesting, though, that there are players who will absolutely avoid the line, even being as dramatic as Turkmendel here. And then there are others who will actually purposefully step on the line. So trying to go in opposite of the superstition in hopes that that will bring them luck. There are others who will go ahead and step on the line purely out of anger or frustration. So you never know which way someone is going to go. Another popular ritual that a lot of people have is to ignore a player after they have had their first big league home run, such as the case with Ricky Schaefer.
It's a high fly ball. That's deep to right.
Their
Garcia
teammate
goes back
will
and
often either ignore them or they will leave the dugout altogether, or they will simply act as if the player is not there. And I know that for a lot of fans, this is actually something that's a lot of fun to watch each time that it's done.
They huddle up. This is even worse. This is classic right here.
Gets me every time.
That's out toward right.
Now, another superstition and ritual, one that we all know and one that I'm actually not going to talk about. We know that fans shouldn't talk about it. We know that announcers shouldn't talk about it. We know that players shouldn't talk about it. As a matter of fact, the pitcher that is involved in the thing that we don't talk about also receives their own sort of silent treatment. Players know to stay away from the pitcher, let them stay in the zone. Now, you can, of course, say it if you are rooting against the team that is in the midst of what it is that we're not talking about, the event that shall not be named. But that is something that if you want your team to do well, you will absolutely avoid at all costs, which is actually a lot of fun to try and creatively talk about it without talking about it. I've often tried to tell my husband to turn on the game so he can see the thing that I refuse to talk about. So we all know to never say it. Next little ritual that I think many of us appreciate and that I am sporting right now today is that of the rally cap. The rally cap, of course, is something that we do when our team is down. It's getting into the ninth inning and we want to see things turn around. And this is our way of participating. We may not be on the field. We may not be going up to bat or throwing the pitches, but this is our way of being involved. There are many different ways of wearing a rally cap. You can have one here like I have, simply flipped inside out. You can go ahead and put it on backwards, perhaps, if that's the way you need it. You can do it sideways. Whatever way you think will bring the most luck to your team. I have always loved the half hat there. I don't think I'll be able to keep that on. But the rally cap is one of those tried and true rituals to help your team succeed in the game. And I swear it works every time it does. And then I curse it every time it doesn't. Another ritual and superstition for a lot of players involves their actions, how they go up to bat, or how they go out into the field. There's, of course, lots of kissing of necklaces, pointing up towards the sky, pointing to their heart, maybe little secret signs that go on. And of course, we have Nomar Garcia Parra's very intricate at-bat ritual.
Very unique routine when he steps into the batter's box.
Tightens his glove up, wristbands. There's the feet. 2 steps.
Sox have had some long at bats so far in this ball game against Rosado.
And what a gorgeous day.
So he, like many other players, has an intricate
routine beforehand.
set of steps that he has to go through as he is preparing to get up to bat. We've seen many players need to adjust their gloves a certain number of times, tap their bat a certain number of times. Each is unique. Each is interesting to watch, and each is probably a little bit maddening for the catcher and pitcher who is waiting to toss and catch, which I'm sure also plays into the effectiveness of the ritual.
Very unique routine.
So all this again, and talking about the evolution of some of these things, made me wonder, how are things looking in the future of what new superstitions and rituals might be happening? One that I know that I've noticed myself at ball games is the silent treatment 2.0, as I call it. So many fans these days are busy taking video of the game, perhaps taking pictures of the game, maybe Instagramming pictures of the food that they've gotten at the stadium. And so this is sort of the new silent treatment 2.0 of ignoring the game altogether and just watching everything through their phones. Another ritual that I wondered about is so many teams these days have music and songs, whether it is the music that players are walking up to, or the music that's played throughout the stadium during the game, or even some of the music that is played at the end of the game. And it made me wonder if some of those things will change in the future, as some of the current songs and performers are no longer as well known by the later generations. So we've got, for the Red Sox, Neil Diamond and Sweet Caroline is extremely popular, but in another 50 years, will not as many people know who Neil Diamond is, and will the Red Sox have to transition into the Dropkick Murphys being more of their staple? In New York, of course, I like to say that everybody knows who Frank Sinatra is. But I could definitely be wrong about that with these future generations. So for right now, New York has the Frank Sinatra, New York, New York, but will they eventually move to having a ritual of playing Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind instead? And finally, my beloved Giants have Tony Bennett. And Tony Bennett, of course, I left my heart in San Francisco. He has been an icon in San Francisco and at Giants games. But in another 100 years, will kids in those days perhaps be more drawn to some sounds of Metallica? It's very hard to say how this one will move in the future. Another, some might say it's more of a tradition, but I think it's as close to a ritual as you can get when it comes to managers on the team. And that is managers who go out to fight with the umpires when they make a bad call. Well, with the talk of robo-umps coming in, it certainly made us wonder what the fights of the future might look like. So could it be that when a robo-ump makes a bad call, the manager is simply going to have to go out and have a text fight with the ump? Are they going to need to send out their favorite droid? Or perhaps they just go ahead and send out tech support? Okay. Well, hold on, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty.
How can I help, Danielle?
Hey.
I love this. This is an amazing presentation. I just want to. It is. This is a wonderful documentation of everything we go through. And for the sake of David Cohn, I'm not going to believe that there is a Cohn curse. All right. I can't.
But
do
you
that
never
to him.
know.
You don't. But I can't do that. I can't do that to him. He deserves the best. So I can't allow it.
All right. Well, I apologize for the slander against him. It's fun though to take a look and see what it might be that's causing the slumps for some of these players. So, I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on what current curses might be happening.
Well, if it weren't for the World Series of the Astros this past year, I was gonna say it would have been the curse of 2017. I mean, after what we saw with the Nationals beating them in 2019. But I see the curse of Timmy Trumpet, says Schwebzy right now. It's possible. I'm not gonna rule that out. There felt like there was a curse of A-Rod for a bit for the Yankees. And then 2009. I rectified that a little bit, but the fact that they haven't even been in a World Series since 2009, I feel like there's something going on. I don't know what. I mean, who left the team after that year? I don't know. But
that's something I'm definitely going to have to look into. There's a case for Justin Verlander. The Tigers have not been to a World Series since he left Detroit.
Sure.
So, and the Astros haven't been to a World Series again, since 2022. So who knows there? Who knows? Could be the next one.
Absolutely. I will say, I know you wanted to curse more in this, actually curse. And I feel like I'm gonna say something now that I know I shouldn't say. There's one curse to me that has always just stuck with me through the years in baseball. You might know the one. It's a mic'd up moment that we shouldn't have, but we do. And it's my ass is in the jackpot, and that to me is just so wonderful. And it makes all this. I mean, I understand the whole scenario. If you guys don't know the situation, Noah Syndergaard threw at a player and they ejected him right away. And I believe it was Tom Hellion, maybe, if that's right. Maybe someone else got in the way of Terry Collins. And was pretty much explaining, like, look, I'm in the jackpot if we don't do this, because clearly there was a lot of stuff going on, and if you don't do that, then everything's bad. Problem is that there wasn't any warnings given to that beforehand, and I disagree. And I believe, again, I don't know if it was Hellion, but I feel like it was. I stepped up for his home plate umpire, right, on behalf of him, who did the ejection. So there's something to be said about the camaraderie of umpires, where you can't just like step on over him at that point. Once that call's made, you stick with it, and then you gotta help separate. But yeah, that's that one. I mean, they always find a way, right? They always find a way to have these weird curses, these interesting utilizations. Every coach has a different curse that they want. It's very cold in my apartment, so that's why I'm wearing a vest now. Just in case you didn't follow that whole trend of Nick Pollock fashion.
Yeah, my office is slowly heating up here. because I've got
Is
the
it?
door
That's good.
closed so that there's no outside noise. And it's quickly becoming a little bit too warm in here.
Justin Mason, by the way, I don't know if you know who that is. Asks,
I've heard
can
of
I
him.
do a plaid panel next season? Is he just typing this from like 5 feet to your right? Uh,
No, I kicked him out of the office. I thought he would make me even more
mm.
nervous than I already was.
Oh man, well, you did great. But yeah, we were actually thinking about doing a. Oh, Justin, I'm so sorry. You should have suggested it inside the PitchCon thing for the panel that he wanted to do, which was, I don't even want to say it actually. I maybe we'll do it in the future, and I don't want to spoil that. Um, but is there a certain moment that was like the most entertaining curse to you? You don't have to necessarily say the curse. I felt like I used the PG-13 one, as opposed to rated R.
Yes. Yes.
But was there one that you're like, oh, that's my favorite one of swearing?
You know what? I watched a compilation, watching pitchers swearing as they're seeing a ball sail past them over their
Oh
head.
yeah. Mm.
Those I think are my favorite. I know I joked with you about doing a play on bad lip reading with
Oh
some
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
the videos
And
that
I
are out
felt
there of
so bad
players.
to quell that one, but it would have been so obvious.
Yes, it would have been so
Um,
obvious. Well, I was able to put in, I don't know if you saw the slide with the memo that came from
oh yeah, I thought
Major
that
League
was so
Baseball.
great. I thought that was a wonderful introduction to this.
Very cool. The memo is from 1898, and I will say it made me blush a little bit with the examples of cursing that they put into the memo.
Oh
It
wow.
definitely seemed to be one of those situations of do as I say and not as I do, because
Yeah,
there were
sure.
multiple examples of the type of cursing
I
that
mean,
would not be
this is the
allowed
19th
and that should
century.
be avoided.
Yeah, 19th century cursing though. Is it actually like we would understand this?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was
Well,
it was
okay, there
not
must have
like
been something.
there was not like, old cursing like dag nabbit and
None of that.
tarnation. None of that kind of swearing.
No.
It
Yeah.
was filthy swearing that they
All right.
wanted to be sure
Can
to go in and
over Twitter,
explicitly
can you
say.
send me the image of this?
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I'll send it over and
I'll see what I can say and do with this. Um, but it might not be. I might not be able to
I
say anything or do anything about it.
let's put it
Uh,
this way. I don't think you would ever tweet it out. Not a chance.
no, I don't think I would.
It's too much. No.
But there's also the Giants. I will say of curses, superstition, and rituals. It felt like a ritual for the Giants that they were every even year for a good while. That
Even
then
year?
normally was associated with a curse. After, it would be called the even year BS. I'm glad that ritual ended. I'll be honest with you. It was getting to be
Yeah,
too
I know.
much.
A lot
It
of
was too much.
people a lot of people were very glad that it ended, and it's interesting that the ritual ended the year that another team's curse ended, because the Giants were knocked out of that postseason by the
Yeah,
Chicago Cubs. And
there
that
you go.
was the Chicago Cubs' big year where
That's
they
right.
went on to finally end their drought. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, 2016, that was also the year that the Cleveland, now Guardians, had an opportunity to perhaps
That's
end
correct. Yeah,
their drought.
that game 7 was important for everybody involved.
Yeah. Now, the Guardians are
Yeah.
still experiencing their drought. They still haven't
Yep.
had that championship, and at this point, there are just so many possibilities for why that might be.
I think it's more so that they refuse to spend any money. Edwin Encarnacion, I believe, is the highest spending free agent they've ever had. Is that right? Unless they just signed somebody that I'm forgetting. Chat, please tell me.
See, for me,
But
I think it's a mixture of that rabid fan and the beast right now, because, they wouldn't allow Charlie Sheen to go out and throw the first pitch, dressed as Ricky Vaughn.
Right.
But Charlie Sheen has tiger blood. I think it falls under both categories of rabid fan and the beast.
I have not thought
It could
about
be
Charlie
that at
Sheen
this
for a
point
good
they just have
while.
compounding. I
Oh, man.
apologize for being the one to bring him back up for you.
Yeah, you should. I don't accept it. Um, but but I mean, I'm just kind of thinking across. I'm really happy that the Mariners won playoff games. That's wonderful. And they almost made it ish to the World Series. They had a push this past year at least, which was very good
Yeah.
to see. Uh,
I thought it was going to happen. I was really hoping. I love an
yeah.
underdog story.
But yeah, maybe I feel good about them this year. Actually, that was my prediction at the earlier panel with James Shiano and Randy Wilkins, Sarah Langs. I have the Mariners winning the whole thing because you know what, the pitching staff is good and they've got some young, exciting hitters. And yeah, of course, J.R. Keynes is gonna love that one. Of course, I got you, J.R. I know where the heart is. But yeah, so yeah, have you sent over the form? Can you send over to me on Twitter? I'll try to tell people some of the things on this memo in my most let's say G-rated self that I can.
All right.
I mean, I'm just like, it must have gone so bad that they had to put out the memo. Like, it must have been the most ridiculous things that they were doing, right?
Yeah. It's and I wonder how many of these things came from actual players and how many came from the fans. It's really hard to say.
And by the way, if anyone has any questions about superstitions, rituals, and curses in baseball,
Or even one of
please
their
leave it in
own.
chat. Yeah, one of your own that you did in Little League, all that kind of stuff. Please put it in the chat. We can ask Danielle, of course, on PitchCon. And of course, let this be a good time to say, hey, you should be supporting PitchCon if you haven't already. What are you doing? What are you doing? We're all doing this for a cause of raising money for the ALS Association. We have Scott with $150. Oh my. Scott, thank you so much. Jared at $10. Anonymous at 10. Every little bit helps. Thank you all so much. We're at $5,300 raised. Our goal is to get up to $7,500 by the end of the night to stay on pace to complete our $10,000 goal by the end of tomorrow. We're getting there thanks to your contribution. So thank you so much. Go to pitcherless.com/pitchcon to go ahead and contribute. We've got the Damasio Marte curse. That is from Justin Mason. The White Sox won in 2005 and then traded away Damasio Marte. They have not been to a World Series since. He would later win the 2009 World Series with the Yankees. He was later released from the team, and they have not been back to the World Series since. Would you look at that? J.R. Keynes apparently watches the 1995 ALDS Game 5 every year in March. So I have it here. I have this memo in front of me. Such brutal language as, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to you blushing.
Not going to say that one.
This. Yeah.
You blanking son of a, yeah, okay. You blank eating, wow, okay. What? Oh my gosh.
I will tweet this out later so that everybody
can
see the memo.
Oh my gosh. A dog must have done this to your mother. I did this to your mother and your sister and your wife. Okay, yeah, those are things that are
yeah.
They felt like they had to put this out on a memo to be like, oh, hey, we're playing some baseball. Hi. So just a moment. Can you please just not say these things? Like, these are, it's not like one word. Like, don't use the F word. Don't use the S word. Don't use the B word. Don't use the C word. It's the actual phrases.
Full phrases. You know, this makes me think a lot of parents who are talking to their kids and are, listen, I don't want you to swear. And these are swear words are, and just going through the gamut of all the, again, not like the simple ones, but the really bad ones.
And
And that's
many
what it
other
seems like.
revolting terms are used by a limited number of players to intimidate unimpressed umpires and opposing players. I'm sorry, it's not unimpressed, it's just umpires, but I want to be unimpressed. Umpires and opposing players and are oh my god. Promise I don't know. Used upon the ball field is vouched for by the almost unanimous assertion of those invited to speak and who are competent to speak from personal knowledge. What is okay? This is
The way
why.
it's worded, I loved it. But the fact that it was so bad with the amount of profanity that was in it that they couldn't send it through the postal service, which I think is really interesting, that the postal service wouldn't deliver that sort of thing. And so they
Wow.
instead had
Yeah.
to have it sent by express
Did
mail
they? But
and
wait.
had
Did
to
they
have it
read it
hand
first?
delivered. And this is what I'm wondering. Did they go through and scan it like when you're receiving mail in jail? Did
Yeah.
they go through and scan things? Would they black things out? Like if
Right.
they had sent it through the postal service, would it have all been redacted at that
Sure.
point so that they
You know,
wouldn't
I
even know?
I will say, I'm gonna see if I can here block it out a little bit. But what's funny is that the formatting of this memo uh is, I could probably do like this so no one can see it. Uh the formatting of this memo, it's just so wonderful because they realized that it's mobile friendly. Oh, all the way back in 1897, they knew that the column should be this small. But you can see the folds in it here. You can see all of it. But right, you're not supposed to have many words all the way to the side there. That's really, really conscientious of them in 1987. So smart indeed.
It
Uh,
it looked
Unbelievable.
like when you put a public notice in the newspaper is
Yeah,
what it looked
right,
like.
right. Um,
And I love the
wow.
fact that at that point, there were only 12 teams in Major League Baseball. So at least it was relatively easy for them to go back and send that. And I'll be honest, I don't know who those 12 teams were. I'd have to go and look. But, thank goodness it's not today that they're having to do something
Mm,
like that and hand
yeah.
deliver a
Yeah,
memo
Justin
to
made a
all
really
the
good point. It's
teams.
unable to do by the post because they would actually have to write it out. So you give them the message, but then they type it out, and they refuse to because of the language. That's a very good point, Justin. You should marry that guy. Um,
Huh.
and now I will say, a good question here. Rally blank, insert animal, is still the most impactful in terms of crowd mobilization. Which would you say that is? We've had the rally pigeon, we've had the rally squirrel, we've had the rally monkey, we've had the rally goose. There must have been other ones as well. What would you say, Danielle?
To me, it's the rally monkey. And, of course, that makes me sad as a Giants fan. But nonetheless, I think that the number one, rally monkey just has a better ring to it than rally squirrel.
But rally
Rally
goose.
squirrel doesn't really. If I had to rank them, I know how much you guys love ranking. Rally squirrel would be at the bottom, but yeah, I'd go with rally goose up towards the top. But rally monkey for
Okay.
me is first choice.
Sure, sure. I
How about
mean,
you?
there's rally pigeon. Don't forget rally pigeon. Rally pigeon's is a top
Yeah,
notch.
rally pigeon is really down there with squirrel. Rally pigeon is a squirrel with wings.
Wow.
They're
The
just
goose
they're
is
right
loose.
down there with rats
Yeah.
for me.
Squirrels with wings. Oh boy.
Yes,
Okay, we're gonna have a long talk about
pigeons
that one.
are close to.
I feel like I need to read this out. I'm gonna put on my best old timey voice for you, and I
Oh,
feel like we need to read this out. You ready? Special instructions to players. In a contest between two leading clubs during the championship season of 1897, the stands being crowded with patrons of the game, a gentleman occupying a seat in the front row near the players' bench asked one of the visiting players who was going to pitch for them. The player made no reply. He then asked a second time. The gentleman, his wife, who sat next to him, and others of both sexes within hearing distance were outraged. Upon hearing the player reply in a loud, brutal tone, "Oh, go blank yourself." On being remonstrated by his fellow players, he was told there were ladies present. He retorted he didn't give a damn, that they had no business there anyhow. This shocking indecency was brought to the attention of the league at the Philadelphia meeting in November 1987, and a committee was appointed to report upon this baseball crime, define and suggest it for a remedy. In response to nearly 100 communications addressed to umpires, managers, and club officials, I said 1987, didn't I? Soliciting definite, positive, and personal knowledge of obscene and indecent language upon the ball field, the committee received a deluge of information that was so appalling as to be beyond belief, showing conclusively and beyond contradiction that there was urgent need for legislative action on the part of the league. How am I going to do this? I can't say it. I can't. Oh, God. Okay. I can't say it. That such brutal language as you blanking son of a blank, you blank eating blank, you blank lapping dog, kiss my blank, you son of a blank. A dog must have blanked your mother when she made you. I blanked your mother, your sister, your wife. I'll make you blank my blank. You blank, you
That could be
blank.
so many things.
And many other revolting terms are used by a limited number of players to intimidate umpires and opposing players, and are promising. What is this word? Promiscuously? I don't know.
Yeah, when I wasn't sure on either.
It's the word promise, but then euonymously at the end. Okay. Used upon the ball field is vouched for by the
Promiscuously.
Is it promiscuously?
It's
That's an E.
promiscuously. I know you wouldn't know that word, Nick, because you're so pure.
Okay,
But,
all
I'm
right.
familiar. Promiscuously.
That's an E. I just want to say promise. Yeah, it's promiscuously. Yeah, good stuff. All right. It clearly looks like an E. It
does.
See what I see.
It absolutely does.
No,
We're looking
it's
at
a C.
yellow.
That's a C. I just stared in on it. I need better glasses, which I'm clearly wearing. I got to finish this. We got to get through it.
Yeah.
Promiscuously used upon the ball field is vouched for by the almost unanimous assertion of those invited to speak and who are competent to speak from personal knowledge. Whether it be knowledge quoted above or some other indecent, infamous invention of depravity, the league is pledged to remove it from the ball field, whether it necessitates the removal of the offender for a day or for all time. Any indecent or obscene word, sentence, or expression unfit for the print or human ear, whether mentioned in these instructions or not, is contemplated under the law and within its intended meaning, and will be dealt with fear or favor when the fact is established of conclusive proof by the order of the committee.
Can we make it some sort of tradition for an annual reading of this? Because I think that might lead that. You know, much like you do, 'twas the night before Christmas, you know, on the night before Christmas, a dramatic reading.
It is reprehensible.
We need to find more old memos from the MLB and see if we can have you do. It doesn't have to be this one, but we can find some other old memos from Major League Baseball and have you do dramatic readings.
I will see what I can do. My voice is not happy with me right now. I was supposed to send. Oh man, sorry. I got to practice that one a little bit. And anyone that just tuned in now, Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You don't need the details.
But anyway, Danielle, thank you so much for this presentation. A fantastic change of pace from all our fantasy stuff to be like, hey, this is the cool stuff of baseball, you know?
Some little lighthearted fun stuff. You can get back to the
Exactly.
smart people
And
right after
what
me.
makes me really happy is that you put this in as a joke. You actually were
did.
just kidding around with me.
Yeah.
And
I
I
really
saw
need
the
to
presentation and I was
I
like,
need
you're
to
doing
stop
this, right?
joking. I need to stop joking because I got into TGFBI as a joke, and now look where I'm at, and I got this. I mean, how much I did joke, and I can't remember, when did you let us know last day?
When did I do a lot of
I-
snow?
No, when did you let Just know of
Oh,
what our
I see.
schedule was going to be for PitchCon? I think that was
Oh
like
yeah,
last Friday, a week ago.
I got pushed back with all this stuff, so it was like a week ago. Like it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
you had a week, and
So
this is what, and you put something together. I can't thank you enough for it. And I hope
absolutely.
everyone
Well,
understands the
I think it's
dedication and
wonderful
hard
what
work
you're
it
doing.
takes to do this stuff. What's that?
Well, I love raising money for ALS. I
Yeah,
think it's a wonderful cause that you're
absolutely.
raising money for. I think it's great what you're doing,
All
putting all
of
this
us
together
are.
each year. I know how much hard work you
Exactly.
put into it, though. I know what it's like in the background trying to put something like this together. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of it and being funny for a little bit.
Well, absolutely. Having people like you makes it easier, right? Because I just say, hey, cool, you're going to do this thing. You go, okay. I'm going to do it. So really, thank you so much, Danielle.
You're welcome. Thanks,
I
Nick.
don't think I'm going to see you in Florida. I think I'm going to see you in New York and Vegas.
Definitely New York, not Vegas. So,
Okay. All right. Well,
my
I'll see you.
husband will be
I'll
there,
see
and I
you.
will not. So you and I will have to soak in all the time we can
Yeah,
while I'm in New
we'll
York.
figure it out. It's New
Yeah,
York. We'll have a
definitely.
great time.
Oh,
Absolutely.
love
All
it there.
right. Danielle, thanks so
Okay.
much for being a part of this. Great to
Bye,
see
Nick.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care.